Alright guys, so today's video is about love, and regarding love, what it's about is that love is not ownership. When I say that, I mean that in the sentiment that love is free, it's boundless, it's not held by a white picket fence or by a box. It comes in us and it comes out of us. Love is everywhere, it's free, and it's not constricted by you or me or them and us. It's ever flowing, and it goes through in all of us, and it's going to come out through all of us. The reason why I say it's not ownership is that I don't think there's ever a wrong way to love a person, but what I do believe is that many of us are never loved in the way that we've always wanted and felt and needed to be loved in our own way. And I say this because Dr. Gary Chapman in the five love languages, he talks about our five love languages, and they're time, touch, acts of service, gifts, and words of affirmation. And so growing up, from the stories that we're told and how we're raised as kids and through conditioning, we're often loved in a way that we never wanted to be loved. And so we often go on living our lives, loving people in that same very way because that's all we ever knew. But these five love languages and these ideas assert the point that we all have a tier love language, and based on the preference in which how we were loved growing up, it's that might now take shape in our adulthood. So it's like, let's say Johnny was a poor boy growing up, and so his family never had too much money or gifts to give him, but they loved him through his words. And so his love language might now turn out to be words through his life. And then we are all loved through these five pillars, but there's a tier love language for all of us. However, it could change though. Little Sally, she might, her parents might have been rich and never been home at all because they were always working and doing whatever it took to provide for the family. And so they might have showered her with gifts growing up, but she might be repulsed by that idea of gifts now because all she ever wanted was to have some quality time with them, and she never could. And so that could take shape as well. And so love isn't ownership, and learning to love others is more about them and not you. And the reason why I say this is because a lot of people in relationships, they get in these relationships with people with, guy finds cute girl finds handsome guy. And they get in these relationships with people out of manipulation and to own them. You see, you can never own anyone. No one is ever yours. When we get in relationships with people, we're not signing contractual partnerships or agreements. You are always free to do what you want to do. It's just that many people, out of fear, anxiety, and insecurity, own others through attachment and manipulation. It's one thing that I truly believe in is that everything you do for a person, you do it solely just to do it. Just because. You don't do it for any result or outcome, because that's manipulation. When you love somebody, you tell them you love them and you express that from your heart just to do it. You don't do it to get anything from them. You don't do it to see a reaction from them. You don't do it for them to do something back for you. You just do it to do it. You don't buy someone a gift so that you can get a gift back. You just buy the gift because you felt that in your own heart to do it. And so many people, they own others and they own them out of insecurity. But if you ever feel insecure within a relationship, it's not because of the other person. It's because you have a insecurity within yourself that you haven't identified with or really taken time to look at. One thing I learned is that every wound is a womb. And when I say that, I mean that in the deepest sentiment, that anything that ever bothers you is created by you, not another person. And so if you ever feel feelings of jealousy, anger, attachment, insecurity, it's because you have a wound within yourself that you have not turned to a womb. You see, many people who have wounds that turn them into wombs, those places now become new places of strength for them. Where you were once so insecure that's now your strongest point. You might have been insecure of asking a guy might be insecure of asking a girl out, but he might ask 100 girls out just for growth purposes and just to see what life is all about, and just to explore more about who he is and how he's becoming a man. And so that now might be now might create a confidence within him that can never be broken. Why? Because he turned that wound to a womb. And so relationships are the key to a relationship is to understand yourself. Because through understanding yourself, you can now understand others by the depth and feeling that you now have went through within yourself to now connect to them. Excuse me. And so often we make plans for people, and often we say, oh, you can't talk to this person, and often we say, well, I did all this for you and you're just going to do that for me? That's it? Really? Are you serious? But in that own way, that's still ownership. It always has been ownership, and it always will be ownership. Excuse me again. I apologize. And it's still ownership because you're doing every single thing that you do for the person you quote unquote love for a result. And when we love people, all we do is to do what we do to express the love within our heart, and that's it. We don't want anything in return. We want to express the love within ourselves because we have a feeling that's so great and so deep and so romantic within us that we just want to give and just express. We don't ever do what we do to get something back for us. We do it because we feel this feeling inside that we just want to do it for them because it's about them. And it's very different with the world that we live in and how society and social media has changed these ideas of love. You see, love isn't based on what you get. It's based on what you give. Love is not based on how you look. Love's based on how you feel. And so society and movies and Instagram and all of these things have changed these have changed the true identity of what love is. And it's just that feeling of connection and care for someone unconditionally beyond yourself. You see, so many of us we want to be loved unconditionally, but we love others conditionally. So how could you ever expect something if you cannot reciprocate it? So many people will throw back what they do for you and say, oh, you never loved me at all. Oh, I bought you those shoes for Christmas. I bought you that ring to get for a promise ring. I bought you this. I bought you that. But and they throw it right back in your face when you suddenly turn out to not be exactly what they wanted. But then if they reacted in that way, it's because every single thing they did was to get something out of you back. And so when you don't meet that trade-off in a way, that deal that they're trying to strike with you, unbeknownst to you, they now get mad about it and they back up and they break up and they leave. And this creates all these feelings of insecurity and doubt and hate and anger and regret and jealousy within the world, but they don't have to exist. And it's so difficult to be able to do this. And I finally have done it in my life, and it took me years. To love without expectation, to love just to love. I think it was Shakespeare who said, love is love, in Hamlet. And to break the expectation of doing what you do to get a result is so difficult because that's how the world is predicated on life. That you work for a paycheck, that you put in gas to drive your car, that you do this to get that you do this to get that. And it takes away from our relationships and how we can truly be one with each other and how we can just grow and love each other. And the reason why it does that is because so many people are fixated on the idea of doing what they do, which quote unquote equals love. But love is so abstract. It's everywhere. It's all around us. It's boundless. And when we break the idea that this plus this equals love, is when we can truly start to explore the love within ourselves that we can now cultivate and now share with another. But so many people they own it, and they own you. And I know what it feels like. Your and sometimes it even comes from our parents, because most of our parents were never loved in the way that they wanted to be loved, and so they can't give what they don't have. And so if they tell you to go to college because they say, hey Mike, you're going to be an accountant. Why? Because your dad was an accountant, and you're going to go off and get an accountant job, but you never wanted to do that. But they're still owning you because they're telling you what to do with your life when it's your life. I know how hard it is. It's to break the conditioning, and it's to go against every single thing that you've ever been taught. But when you're able to find the love within your heart, it's a love that can never be taken away from you. It's a love that you'll just want to share. It's a love that just pours out of you in every single thing that you do. And so many of us build up walls, build up fences, not to keep others out, but to keep ourselves away from others. we turn our hearts cold and get rid of all the feeling and warmth within ourselves because of every other person that we've met who's never loved us in the way that we've always wanted to be loved. But that's why love is an inside job. That's why you must love yourself before you love others. I really, really want to express that to you. I don't want you to ever feel owned. If you feel trapped, if you feel like you can't do something, I see people all the time, they say, I can't text you because you're a guy and I have a boyfriend. That's ownership. That's ownership, 100%. If you feel like you can't do something because of the person you're in a quote-unquote relationship with, that's ownership. Why? Because you feel inclined that you cannot be you because of this person. And now you're going to choose to be in a relationship with them, to hold yourself back, to create feelings of guilt and anxiety and jealousy. And now they can only give you what they have. So if they're causing you to feel that way, it's because they have that within themselves. So now you're going to respond back in that way. Jealous people make other jealous people jealous. Insecure people make other people insecure. You can only give what you have. You can't give what you don't have. And that's why it's so important to come to love yourself first before you ever try and share that sentiment with someone else. Love is not ownership. And it's an idea that's been twisted and changed through society and social media, like I already mentioned. And I just want you to know to never be owned, that you are free, that you can do all that you ever want to do. And if a person ever stops you or prevents you or makes you feel that you can't, it's because they're owning you. Things never come out the way that they should come out when you rush. When you have to rush things, it's because now you're trying to put your hand on top of it to now control it and manipulate it. And don't ever let someone do that to you. Your heart is great. Don't let the world change you. Don't let the world make you cold. Like I always say, my mission is to embody the heart of a child, but to embrace the wisdom of an old soul. Don't let the world turn you against your heart. So many of us were owned, and then we turn out to be owners next, and we own every single person in our life because that's all we ever knew was to own people. But know your love language. Explore yourself. Look into the mirror. Wake up and to realize that love is not ownership. When you love someone, you should let it free. Why? Because in your attempt to grasp, you will destroy. Just like Osho said in his magical poem. When you pick up a flower, you're now possessing it, and in your attempt to possess it, you will destroy it. Why? Because now you're crumbling it. Now you took it from the ground. Now you unrooted it. Now you're plucking off its petals. You are destroying. The key to life is to be happy. But in our own ways of being happy, we make ourselves unhappy and suffer. Don't ever feel owned, and don't own others. You don't own anyone. Your ex wasn't even your ex because you never even owned her, and you never will own her, and she never will own you. Or he. They were just simply people that you were with that you're no longer with. That's all it was. And things come and things go. And there's a I don't want to sound cliche, but there is a reason for everything, and some things come and some things go, and that's just the way it is. But don't ever feel owned, don't ever feel trapped, and don't do it to someone else either. Because we all like to be hugged, but none of us like to be hugged in a way to where we can't breathe anymore. Love someone so much that you just want to become a part of them, that you just want to become one with them, that you just want to share your heart with them and give you all that you can give. But don't do it for a result. Do it just because you feel the feeling within your heart's calling to do so. Love isn't ownership. It never will be. And if anybody ever said that it is, they're lying to you, I promise. There's so much more. There's so much more, and don't ever feel trapped or closed. Hey, I just got back from watching the rest of the video. I apologize about the noise in the background. That's my little sister messing around downstairs. But to wrap this up, just remember, love is an inside job. Go in and find a love that's within yourself that you now want to share, not only with one person, but with the world. Share your message, share your belief. Remember that no one will ever accept and love you the way that you will ever, the way that you can ever accept and love yourself. And before you could ever want that from another person, make sure you can do it for yourself first. Change your perspective, change your life, change your beliefs, change your reality. Thank you.